r/askreddit. What sounded like a good piece of advice until you actually tried it? Just ask them out. The worst thing they can say is no. Actually, the worst thing they could say is I don't really find you attractive at all. I think we should stop being friends. On one hand, bullet dodged, but on the other, she was fun to hang out with. Edit. No, I'm not an incel. She just turned out to be a bitch, and that's why it's a bullet dodged. I'm not ugly, I just wasn't her type. If you're an incel and blame women for it, you're a retard. Just breathe. Don't need to be anxious about it. Thanks, now I need to breathe manually. You should also blink. Your eyes are kind of dry. Just move on. I had to confront him. Glad I did. Me too. We are happy for over a year. You suddenly cheat and dump me out of the blue? No, you don't just get to walk away. I'm glad I didn't let up until she relented and we actually talked about it. It made understanding what happened and moving on so much easier. Quitters never win. Winners never quit. Yeah, right. Sometimes quitting, and quitting early, is the only way forward. This is the only toxic element I can pin down in the running community. I can't run for the next 3 years, but I finished my marathon. Big winners: anyone who quit working on the top floor of the WTC on September 10th, 2001. Never go to bed angry. Sometimes what you're fighting about is dumb and not worth the time and energy to hash it out. Sometimes you just need to go to sleep and wake up in a better mood tomorrow. Don't worry, be happy. Just turn it off like a light switch. It's better to whole-ass one thing than to half-ass two things. One of the lessons I'm trying to teach myself is the value of half a job done. I don't do things that need to be done because I was always taught you damn well do it right the first time. If you sweep the floor, it better be completely and totally spotless when you're done, for example. So if I don't have the energy to get into every nook and cranny, I don't sweep. And then my floor gets way grosser than if I'd just done it and done a crappy job. Live every day like it's your last. And now I'm addicted to opiates. How ya doing? Addicted to opiates. Do what you love and the money will follow. No. My fault for inexperience, I guess, but taking things slow when talking to a girl you like. Being upfront and honest is much better. You're fine just the way you are. Sometimes you really aren't. Sometimes you need a lot of improvement. I've always thought that do what you love and you'll never work day in your life shtick was bullshit. It's like setting your favorite song as your alarm. It doesn't make waking up nicer, just makes you hate the song. Go do something you can tolerate that pays you well enough, and if you're extra lucky, leaves you feeling satisfied. Don't talk to strangers is good advice when you're a kid. It's terrible when you're an adult because now you have no idea how to network with others. Don't buy a house with fewer than 3 bedrooms. Well, if I didn't, I wouldn't have been able to buy a house at all. You can talk to me about anything. Spoiler alert, no they can't most of the time. Not their fault per se, but it gets real annoying when people insist I can talk to about any problems I face, then they get defensive when I point out something they don't like. If you don't know what to take at university, just take whatever interests you. That's a lot of time and money I'm never getting back. I was told that it was okay to insert a copper penny into a screw-in fuse box as a temporary solution until replacement fuses could be obtained. That was a terrible mistake. If I hadn't smelled overheating wires in the wall, it would have burned the house down. Answer their questions with a question. That was a long, awkward interview. This is so my boss. We have so many arguments because he says I'm not doing what he thinks I should be doing. I ask him what he wants me to do, and he says, "What do you think?" Just fucking tell me what you want me to do. If I have to tell you, then you may as well look for another job. Surprise motherfucker. Guess what I'm doing? Live like every day was your last. Great, there goes my savings account, and my son is getting freaked out by my daily farewell speech. Just ignore bullies, it's not that easy. It's funny how that has changed over the years. When I grew up, my dad always told me to punch them in the face. My dad told me that if the teachers wouldn't help, I'd have to take care of it myself. I told him the dude was a foot taller than me, and he said just knock him down. and knee him in the face. So, here I am, 11 years old, and fighting this white trash jackass who won't leave me alone. I managed to knock him down. I'm scared and chock full of adrenaline. Now I hadn't realized just how much damage an knee can do. So I took 2 steps back, run at him, and drive my knee into his face. He makes this little wheezing noise and his head whips back into the concrete. He's barely conscious, and I'm like, holy shit, I've done it now. Then he starts crawling around with blood pouring out of his face. I had got him right in the mouth. I look up, and the whole playground is looking at me with wide eyes. Dad was right, the whole school was scared of me after that. Stay under your wife during double penetration. In theory, this makes sense, because you get to kiss her, maintain eye contact and all around get to experience the moment together. But just as important is the advice I didn't receive: don't come first. I did. The only thing I can compare it to is being with your wife when she is giving birth. You hold her hand as she strains, waiting for the baby come. Only in this case, you hold her hand as she strains, waiting for the guy who is fucking her in the ass to come. Treat yourself. Wow, I spent a lot of money on frivolous things thanks to this motto. Don't worry about what other people think. Just be yourself. This is stupid, because not only is it telling you to ignore constructive criticism, it's just plain wrong. Like if everyone says you're an asshole, you're probably an asshole and you should work towards changing that. Don't just ignore them. Turn the other cheek. Boy, I only have 2. What happens if both end up smacked? Show 'em your ass. You got 2 more cheeks right there. Go to college. Take the high road. Great advice for many situations, but awful for others. Sometimes you need to set boundaries and speak your mind. Sometimes petty wins. You have to gauge what works for what situation. Company loyalty will pay off in the end. You just need to work hard. Reality, you need good interview skills for promotions and to be willing to change jobs if you're not getting what you want from your current one. One dumbass gets advice from another dumbass. Buddy told me to put the lid on the grill while the lighter fluid was soaking in the coals. When I lit the grill, the fireball burned all the hair on my face and half the hair on my arm off. When I was driving up to a local skiing range with my friends and his parents, couple hours away, I get carsick on the way up, and I ask my friend where I should throw up. He thought I was joking and said out the window. In the next few seconds I unroll the window and throw up out of it. It got all over our car and the one behind us. My friend's dad didn't really care too much, he thought it was mostly funny. The male masturbation technique known as a stranger: you sit on your hand or apply similar pressure until it falls asleep, goes numb, then you masturbate with it. The point is that it's supposed to provide more pleasure than normal, since you can't feel the touching sensation through your numbed hand, only the sensation of being touched by a hand that is supposed to be perceived as being not your own. The fundamental flaw I discovered with the stranger is that you cannot easily or effectively manipulate anything with a numb hand. On top of that, I was under no delusions that this felt like anything other than my all too familiar left hand. Apple cider vinegar bath for sunburn. The internet was really convincing. It all started when I fell asleep in the sun. Soon after, I looked similar to my poorly executed 3rd grade devil costume. My mom attempted to paint my body red with acrylic paint, except this time, the long streaky patches were from sweat and poorly applied expired sunblock instead of tears. In a hoe, the apple cider vinegar bath smelled real bad, so I put some peppermint oil in it. Well, the combination felt like an icy hot acidic surprise. 4 hours. Let me tell you, my lady bits have never felt more of a tang. And not in a minty fresh kinda way. Not me, but advice I gave to a friend. Apparently my delivery of said advice did not convey the absolute sarcasm I had intended. He had taken and failed his driving test numerous times. While lamenting his latest failing grade, I tell him next time he should lock the doors and tell the instructor they aren't leaving until he gets a passing grade. In a couple weeks, when he was able to retake it again, he came in to lunch saying they had banned him from taking the test for a month after he actually tried it. The golden rule: to treat other people like you would want to be treated. Problem is outside of major standards like, don't steal my stuff. Everyone prefers different interactions with other people. The pettiest example I have is that I hate when people hold the door open for me, but most people think not holding the door open for others is rude. Fake it till you make it may work to banish social anxiety. Definitely made my sense of self-worth 10 times worse. Celery tastes good. Lies. All lies. This is my first ever encounter with celery based advice. Obviously you're not subscribed to Celery Facts. Celery was initially used as medicine in the treatment of toothache, insomnia, hypertension, anxiety, arthritis, rheumatism, and to purify the blood. To unsubscribe from Celery Facts, reply with the number 1. Heat up your leftover pizza in a cast iron skillet. It will be crispy and delicious. Wrong. It was completely burned on the bottom and cold on top. I'm going to keep using the microwave. That works every time. You shouldn't smoke weed. You should just drink. Flash forward 15 years of blackouts, bad life choices, and booze later, and I know, have to fight off alcoholism on a steady basis. Also, booze ain't cheap. Weed is. So in my 15-year career of drinking I haven't saved a dime and haven't accomplished shit. Great advice, mom. When the sign says that your lane is going to be closed, you should drive all the way up to the point when the lane ends and then merge into the other lane. I argued against this, saying that I should merge into the other lane as soon as I see the sign or when it was most convenient, but then I was told that zipper merging is how it's supposed to work and that if everybody does it correctly, you won't even have to slow down. So, I tried it once. Had to sit and wait for a chance to get into the lane. It took a long time, and when I did manage to get into the lane it was only by forcing the other 3,000 cars on the road to hit their brakes.